Democrats have been doing lots of soul searching since their massive election loss, but it seems like the party just can't settle on a path forward with just 24 days until Biden leaves office. The Wall Street Journal is writing headlines like this: Democrats are adrift as Donald Trump prepares to take power. That report reads in part, quote, "These are challenging days for Democrats ahead of Donald Trump's return to the White House. Their party has yet to land on a clear message or a leading messenger, leaving the president-elect mostly unchallenged, even as Republicans expose their own vulnerabilities and divisions when Trump nearly derailed a stopgap funding deal with last-minute demands." And Democratic strategists are openly conceding that their party is a total mess. Strategist Liz Smith says this, that the Democratic brand is, quote, "in the toilet." That's harsh. And that the D next to their names represents the status quo. Leslie, I wanted to pull this up for you because Politico did a focus group, and I laughed out loud when I read it because the focus group was asked to compare the Democratic Party to an animal. And this is what they said. When asked to compare the Democratic Party to an animal, one participant compared the party to an ostrich because they've got their heads in the sand and are absolutely committed to their own ideas. Even they're failing. Another likened them to koalas who are complacent and lazy about getting policy wins that we really need. Democrats, another said, are not a friend of the working class anymore. That is harsh, and that is from swing voters.
Who are you going to,
Leslie.
Leslie?
Leslie.
Oh, good. Hi.
That's you, Leslie. I know you don't want to answer the koala.
No. I want it. Well, I think comparing things to animals is childish and best left to preschoolers. And Democratic strategists shouldn't act like preschoolers. I am a Democratic strategist, and although I have a lot of respect for many of the strategists that are quoted in that article, and I do believe that we need to get on point, get together, be united, and have one message, and we're not. I don't feel that my party's fallen off a cliff. I don't think Republicans did in 2008 when they didn't have the presidency in the House and the Senate, and they needed to look at their party and say, okay, we need to come up with a better message. We need to regroup. I think it's important to always improve upon yourself, whether you're a person or whether you're a party or whether you're a koala. And I think it's also important for the Democrats to look at the reality. Hakeem Jeffries is a very strong leader. Democrats have a very strong say in the House. Republicans right now are in a bit of disarray. We don't know if we'll have the same speaker in a few weeks. And in addition to that, I think that, the Democrats, especially with leader Jeffries, showed with, CR what was just done. And I think this is what's going to happen going forward. But right now, I would say there are various opinions about what happened and where we need to go. And we do need to come up with what we need to do united going forward and be on the same page. I wouldn't say disarray necessarily. And I know my party hasn't fallen off a cliff. We just need to regroup, and we'll win again. Republicans have done it. We'll do it too.
Well, I like the animal comparisons, and I think Republicans, if they would have asked the question, would be eagles and bulls and lions, much more favorable animals, I would say. But someone your party may want to listen to is Joe Manchin. Kara, listen to what Manchin had to say.
I am not a Democrat in the form of what the Democratic Party has turned itself into, the national brand. Absolutely not. The brand got so bad. The D brand has been so maligned from the standpoint of it's toxic.
Incoming chair of the House Progressive Caucus, he says, if the Democratic Party was a little more like Chairwoman Jayapal and a little less than Joe Manchin, I think we would have won this election.
They'd have lost. Right? They got to be nuts.
So that's the answer, Kara? Be more like Jayapal and the progressives?
I mean, if you want to keep losing, yes, but Joe Manchin is entirely correct here. And what I think, this is really interesting in my mind, the greatest strength of Democrats, we're looking at them from the conservative side, has really been their ability to move as one, to have those uniform talking points that they all seem to dispense from the top down, and then they all fall in line. I looked at that kind kind of with envy, like, oh man, those guys have really got it going on. But when Hakeem Jeffries keeps saying stuff like extreme MAGA Republicans, no. You have to respond to the realities on the ground. You have to be agile, Democratic parties, because all of this moving as one, uniform talking points, they're not working anymore. Return to common sense.
Paul, a commonality between this Politico focus group and the New York Times swing voter interviews was a bunch of people cited the trans ad that ended with Kamala is for they, them, Trump is for you. It really hit a chord.
Yeah, it really did. And I think that's the crux of the matter, is that the Democratic Party forgot that it was about the American people, and it became about their own feelings about themselves, wanting to, it became a virtue signaling spelling bee, right? They were all competing with each other to get to the left of each other, and what gets lost in that sauce is the American people. And so if you keep going out that way, you start to lose that middle ground. And what happened was, we all have talked in the past, many people have, about America needs a third party, we need a common sense party. Donald Trump essentially turned the Republican Party into that middle ground third party that speaks very clearly to the American working class. The problem for the Dems is, how do they get that back, and who's going to lead it? Because their younger generation are the ones that are the most progressive, and the rest of the party seems to be averaged about 140 years old these days.
Tommy, that's the exact question. Who picks up the mantle, and what is the mantle?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's also really disappointing if you're a Democrat to see Vice President Kamala Harris essentially be MIA in the remaining weeks. We know Joe Biden has essentially been MIA for the last 4 years, but even though she lost, this could have been an opportunity for Kamala Harris, if she wants a political future whatsoever, would have been an opportunity for her to really be a leader in the remaining weeks, to maybe get something done, even if it wasn't the things that I would want to get done. At least she could have done something. But this party has proven that they're really lazy when they're losers. They don't really care that much about the trajectory of the country. They really care about themselves and the glitz and the glamour, and that's maybe why they burned through $1 billion and are in the hole. But I'll tell you this, I think what happened to the Democrats is they got really drunk on 2020. They were really excited that the activism and the virtue signaling, to Paul's point, was at its all-time high. They were excited because people were locked in their homes, scared of COVID. You had BLM activism, and everything really was so exciting for them. That was their peak. And then they forgot that time moved along and people were tired of woke, but they stayed in that same spot. And now they're trying to figure out how to get out of it, but they don't have a leader. And as much as you want to say, Leslie, Hakeem Jeffries, he might be a great leader in the House, but he's certainly not the leader of the party. You don't have one right now. You don't have Joe. You don't have Kamala. You don't really have Nancy. Barack and Michelle Obama, they're off on a yacht somewhere. So what do you guys have? Not a whole lot.
Hang on. We'll have one.
Yeah. Well, and Kamala Harris may make another run for it. I think there's a lot of people who would cheer that on.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.